Hello, everyone, and welcome back to today's episode of What If Civilization Started Over. In the last episode, we saw more exploration and new countries in India, Asia, this Asian area, specifically Japan, Korea, and China, and in Caspia, some chaos going down as the first civil war of the entire series happened with, well, not a civil war, more like a revolution. And at the end of last episode, we had the most major event of the entire series so far. The start of the first ever major war. And yeah, let's get into that this episode as we have our coalitions ready. And the first major event this episode during for the war, first major war event this episode is the continued push of these guys as they start pushing and further on these guys' capital until forces arrive from the north, which cause a ultimate pushback out of the capital city and away from there. And they are kind of stopped dead in the tracks over here. Though, meanwhile, the most successful front of the entire war is the invasion of these guys. So they're continuing the invasion as they have now encircled this entire area. They're slowly pushing in on them. And it is not going well for them. They aren't able to escape and they ultimately get completely captured. Now, the Now the Teal country immediately goes in and takes the city, and that's their goal for now is to take the city, so that way they don't have to deal with resistance at all. So where they have barely any resistance from the military of this country, and they are making sure to invade the country before any outside troops make it onto their soil. And I think that they think that is very important. No outside troops get on their soil. Yet they encircle a lot of the land. They end up encircling like most of the land and still left being fought for. They take occupation of all of this area. So pretty big deal. It's a pretty big deal. And now that that country is gone, this war is starting to become pretty interesting. Now the North 3 countries are definitely kind of worried about this. Though these guys opened a counter-offensive. Their counter-offensive starts in the south, hoping to capture the city. And once they capture the city, all forces will be distracted, and they immediately capture the city too, and the city. So because there's no military in these cities, so they capture them with ease. Now they have like these two cities, and plus that one. The first one conquered the war, and ultimately all of all of this is overwhelming these guys. By the way, their stability looks something like this, so they're doing pretty good on stability as of right now. So that's good for them. Now, a major problem for all these nations. Now, a major problem for all of them. Now, a major problem for these guys is that the troops are not arriving in their soil yet, and their allies are abandoning them, basically. And they just get completely abandoned. They get completely abandoned by their allies, which is bad for them as they start losing more and more territory. And in the north, that leads to this area, that leads to complete defeat in the Kaliningrad area. That immediately is starting to worry the capital, and they decide to go in and capture the capital once and for all. And they get to capture it. They ultimately end up capturing the whole capital city, and these two cities are next to fall. This one comes, and it's not going well. And when they capture this city, these guys know it's basically over for their country, but they still continue fighting until the end when these guys cut off this whole area and destroy it. And they immediately continue their offensive and capture this city. Got captured the city, and yeah, they're losing hope as immediately another force comes out and captures this city too. Now, that is pretty bad for them. That is pretty bad. So basically, they're just getting betrayed by their allies too. So this isn't a pretty scenario for them because they're losing pretty badly. These Orange team misled them because they did that only simply to get more territory from them. And that is pretty evil. As well, they have the whole country under their control, and these guys now just take the rest of these guys, which leads to the end of the war. As these two meet for peace, these two sides meet for peace. The coalitions are disbanded, and the peace treaty will ultimately look something like this. And those are the new borders of the nations of this area, which this treaty ultimately just results in the Lutium getting destroyed and nothing really else. And the coalitions are disbanded, as I said earlier. Now let's go do something productive, eh? Now Europe is kind of we're trying to recover from the war, so they aren't doing any exploration right now. The exploration they bother to do is just to explore some more of this and make a tiny landing in Finland. But that's basically it. Nobody claims the Finnish area either, so in this island right now, it's not going to be claimed as of right now in this episode. As of this part of this episode, that's not getting claimed. Though the Egyptian nations are just a very expansive area of this episode, as they start to explore around their area and to explore. So they do get a lot of exploration done in the Middle East and some exploration done on their coast. And they keep exploring the north, but they don't explore any deeper than this as of right now for them. Or they don't explore too deep because Libya, lower than that, is like a desert, so they don't explore any lower. And yeah, oh, whoops, there we go. Then they explore some north, and the ultimate do claim ultimately end up looking something a little like this. So these guys form over here on this area and by Egypt as well is the upper area of Libya slash Egypt. So now the Libyan slash Egyptian country has formed, and the purple team this time is also going to be exploring out some too, because they want to try and explore as much south as possible and see what the south area of the world looks like. They're nowhere near the very south of the world. And if anything, they're like in the very middle of this map. Not really. I feel like France would be the very middle. Because, actually, no. I think this part of Africa is the very middle, so they're kind of close to the very middle of this map. And these guys also make some expansions around to claiming more territory on their border. So yeah, their plan is to just get as much land as possible, long term, and as much power. They say, what would they have to do if they fought a war against these guys, against both their neighbors right now? They'd lose. But they say their plan is in 50 years, if they had to fight one against their neighbors, they would absolutely dominate everyone. So that's what their plan is. So a little bit of more warmongering here. Do that to plot point. Now, back to the exploration. Caspia is one of the least exploring areas because they haven't explored much outside of Caspia. So they're finally exploring out more because most of the nation Caspia are super small. And these guys, if they explore out some more, they might go into a second civil war. And these guys, the gold team, explore over here into the Caucasus. Being the closest group to link up with another, I think, to the Egyptians. And the Egyptians like explore out over here. And these guys like start exploring out too. Try to discover this place. And now nations and tribes. Well, nations start claiming a lot of land. Like the green team is claiming a ton out of this exploration, which a ton of people the green team think is a bad idea because it might incite rebellion. another one of those, like gold groups or something. Group like the gold team again, and they don't want another revolution. They are already pretty unstable still. They haven't gotten any more stable or any. They're actually getting way less stable right now. That to the point, if they expand any tiny little bit more, they'd probably collapse in on themselves. Their nation would probably end up gone. Meanwhile, these guys form over here. Two now, so there is some more nation expansion. And meanwhile, in India, meanwhile in India, this is going to be pretty interesting as they start exploring out around them, as they want to figure out what more is there to the world. So so these guys start exploring west. Well, no, east. These guys make a ton of progress east. This is all happening like before, like during and after the war. And that war like lasted like 6 years or something, so they get a lot done. Well, actually, probably like 10 years or something of the fact that their military is they don't really have much of a military, so they have to like make militaries, so they're pretty even throughout the war. It took like 3 years for these guys to collapse, and 4 years, like 7 years for the rest of the events to happen. And that Indian, no, not correct. The First War of Europe. What they know as the First War in history, but really it is not. It is the Second War in history, second to the Caspian Civil War. The Civil War in Caspia, which was pretty crazy. And a new nation forms down here in India as well. Because of all this exploration, new nations start. Oh, wrong layer. Thank goodness I caught that. Because of this, I caught the wrong layer thing. Well, yeah, this layer, this land gets claimed under this new country. And over here in this country, who is looking pretty big, they expand their borders to be even bigger. They're looking like the biggest country in the world, I think. I think they are officially the biggest. Maybe, but who? Possibly the biggest, but now these guys are kind of worried about this threat on their borders, so they start to expand a lot too. So these guys expand a lot, so that to counter these guys' expansion. So these two empires are the two like early empires are starting to be getting mad at each other, so that's not a great sign. That might mean that peace and prosperity in India might be a dead concept soon. But who knows? Hopefully not, because if India like loses that, that's basically not the best for them because they're they're one of the biggest area. They're like the strongest area in the world. They don't know that because they actually do know that because they think they're the only area in the world, so thus they're thus the strongest area too. Okay, that test worked. As this whole area gets claimed under this nation, as now India is looking a lot more explored than in previous episodes. So yeah, the world is looking pretty explored. Now, meanwhile, it's time to go over to China slash Korea slash Japan. Or rather, why did I think calling it East Asia earlier, but who cares? It's East Asia now, I'm going to call it. So now the East Asian area has finally a land connection between these two nations, which also causes like easier trade flow between all of them. As in this early era, nations are starting to work on trade routes, and I'm probably gonna do the trade routes later. Trade routes later. Tongue twister. And the Japanese also expand out to here. So the Japanese have a lot of exploration done since last episode. In this time of like an episode time frame. Now all of this is getting pretty quickly explored. Yeah, no, the path to get between these nations is quite wide. Now we have a new nation being formed. Now, anyway, we haven't used the red color yet, but I think it would fit right now if we use the red because I can notice I don't think there's a. Okay, this is the second red country, close enough. Though it's not like these guys become Mongols and start to border the other one, so I have to shift one of their colors. I'm assuming it would be the less major one to the plot, which would be these guys. Or these guys become the Mongols, and these guys have to swap their color. Sorry, why am I worried about that right now? Also, just so you know, this pig team, where I have pencil on, is has very low stability, so their whole entire stability is down the drain. Their red stability, so they might be collapsing soon. And meanwhile, Shanghai, I think that's what it's called. Wait, yeah, this area, this area, the Shanghai area, I think. I don't know, but whatever it is this country is exploring, well, not exploring, is claiming land around their border. Now looking like this. Now, these guys are going to get some land around their border too. Though these guys I'm using the brush for them. Their illustration I'm gonna do with the brush because it's quicker. Now, these guys get a lot of land out of this. Korea is starting to look massive. Like the low, deeper feet. Ah, sorry. Sorry. Yeah. No, yeah, no. And I don't. I've never heard of it before. Anyway, yeah. Japan is looking more explored than before. let's see how long this episode is. Okay, we're 24 minutes into this episode, and a lot of progress has been made. Though, one thing that we haven't covered yet is European exploration. It has been set back a little because of the European War, but now they are starting to explore more into Finland because they are interested in finding this area. And since they discovered this island, they also start to discover Sweden. They just explore out a little bit more. So ultimately, now nations start claiming. Oh, my bad, guys. Let's go to the exploration layer and fix this up. My bad, guys. Now, let's look at the claims. So these guys get this area pretty good for because they are the closest country to the area that is being explored. And now a new country forms, being this country, otherwise known as Purple Finland. Now, the Purple Finns are an interesting country that I'll cover in the future. Or not. Who knows? Depending on if I remember to cover them in a future episode. But anyway, yeah, I'll cover them because they are an interesting country. Well, next episode I'm going to cover why they're an interesting country. Anyway, yeah. Now Europe is being more explored. And now we shall go to a different layer known as Layer 9, otherwise known as Power Rankings. That's right. Now let's start with the strongest country in the world. In this episode, the strongest country in the world is these guys. In India, number 2 strongest country in the world is not far behind these guys. Now number 3, interesting. Number 3 is whoops. What have I done to Japan? Sorry. Let's get back to the power rankings. Ha ha ha. Accidentally didn't do something right with Japan. Now, number 3 is going to be Japan. Number 4 is going to be these guys in Europe. Number 5 going to be these guys, but there's not much of a gap between these guys, so really, there's not much of a gap between first, third, fourth, and fifth. Now, the gap, I actually said, like, no, not really. There's not really a gap in the top 10 yet. Now, number 6, and we have number 7 being the Koreans. Number 8 would be these guys. Number 9 would be these guys, as they both won the big war. And the 10th strongest country in the world would be these guys in India. So, sorry about the background noise that you can probably hear. The TV in the background. There's somebody watching TV in the background. Give me a second. Okay, I'm back. Now, anyway, this is a very good ranking of who the top 10 are. I'll probably forget. So, yeah, I'm just drawing something. Subscribe. Yeah, make sure you subscribe, as that's going to be it for today's episode. But something happens. In Pink China and Caspia, only 2 days apart, rebels take the streets and start swarming around trying to take over the country. And yeah, the first deaths are seen in both countries, and it is very serious. And in the next episode, anyway, in the next episode, we'll be seeing the Caspians and the Pink Chinese Civil War. Well, the green Caspians and the light pink Chinese Civil Wars. And anyway, yeah, I'll see y'all in the next one. And goodbye.